Right there, you don't bad. We're using the van out of order. It's really going to be not paying attention to do that. Yeah, but I still think Callaway's covering for somebody, because he said it was a computer generated 107 that was we went over, just went to one page, it was a different one. So whoever sent it to me, so it's probably some hack. But here's the thing, you're up to bat, and it's not your picture on the scoreboard, it's not your turn to bat. I think that's what a bench coach is for.
They're not going anywhere, right?
Hey, be quiet.
That should happen in a little game.
The good news is we play the Phillies this week.
They're gonna,
Produce for the
I was
Phillies.
just gonna say that. They're gonna,
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Not numbered.
take that, Mike.
I know, they got it.
Give me a buzz, Anthony, so we talk about the football television. I will be around as well. You have my stuff.
I got to talk to you about
What's
That
that?
maybe I'll send it to you when I get in the morning. I'll take it. I'll get it.
Yeah, you're not going to need to worry about
If he serves the extra in the house. I heard of those special functions for my parents on the hot.
You're right there. There.
Friend of mine. You're 2 years old? No. I went to school last year. Long cancer. My cousin lost his voice box. My son was Oh.
So it's clock out. So it's the clock out.
Down in,
Go back. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Roll call, Eric.
Here.
Gilbert. Merrick.
Here.
Wilkes-Barre.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Also in attendance is Controller Darren Snyder, Administrator Ted Womble, Deputy Administrator City Attorney Tim Henry, Administrative Assistant Lisa Sentry. Good evening, welcome to the regular session of City Council. Please turn off all cell phones. This meeting is a limited public meeting. Council may establish rules and procedures for the First Amendment and the City Charter Administrative Code. The chairperson is the presiding officer. Specific rules and procedures of council will be followed. The list below are examples of council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Adhere as closely as possible to the 5-minute speaker presentation time limit. All remarks shall be addressed to council as a body and not to an individual member. No persons are allowed to address council from beyond the rail. Chairperson shall preserve order and decorum, prevent attacks on personalities. Chairperson shall determine all points of order. No person except city officers or their representatives shall be permitted within the rail during any meeting without the express permission of council. Finally, when members of administration are speaking, please stand and speak into the microphone.
Any comments on pending legislation? Hello there.
Hello, Angel Mathis, Wilkes-Barre. My question is about the Kelly Bryant parking service agreement and software. I read in the paper that pretty much you're looking at leaving, I think it's Pango or whatever, for them, for their services. Now, with that, how much is it gonna cost to go? And is it only the parking and ticketing portion they'll be responsible for? And then the other thing, because I know I read that it was like $30-something for the handheld devices that they do now with the meters. And then ultimately it's gonna be a $2 per ticket charge. Excuse me. And so my question is, how much is that gonna actually cost? And then the second thing is, would we still be using the same meters?
How's that for an intro? There you go. This Kelly Ryan part, there's two parts with Pango right now. There's the pay by phone, then there's the parking enforcement part, the ticket collection, if you will. So right now, this is strictly for the parking enforcement for the tickets. And the $39 device fee is basically for the airtime, when they're out there using the devices. And $2 per ticket is where Kelly Ryan obviously makes their money. And if they write 15,000 tickets, which I think is the average, you're looking at about $30,000. We anticipate making that up and more in the, because we're going to decriminalize tickets, which means all that enforcement comes in-house, so we don't have to pay the magistrate to do that. Magistrate's office is going to be real happy as well. We are looking at the pay-by-phone and the meter part of it. We just haven't found anybody yet that we're really comfortable with and happy about.
And I know there's no back and forth, but aren't you kind of putting the cart before the horse? Because what if you find a meter company that will do the same services as Ryan Kelly?
There are companies out there that do both meter enforcement, or I'm sorry, pay by phone at the meter and also parking enforcement, that side of it. Kelly Ryan is a specialty with the enforcement. They work with other companies that provide the pay by phone. They don't have that component, which is why they work through agreements with other companies. We don't know where that will eventually go, because obviously there's going to be the parking study coming out, we believe, in the next couple of weeks, which will talk about the meters. But the enforcement part of it is a separate part that the city's been having problems with now for quite a while. And when the system goes down, we lose revenue, because all they can do is write paper tickets. And they have no way of checking if you're at a meter with the light blink and they don't know whether you try to pay through Pango, we can't check. So you're obviously not able to write tickets. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on pending legislation? Pending legislation.
I don't think people understand what it is that they're voting on.
Unfortunately,
Just handheld
most
devices and so on. So
I'm not understanding how we can
or change
do anything with this parking meter thing, enforcement or panel this or get rid of Pango, do something else, Kelly this and that, when we haven't got the study back. And what's the rush? Because how do you know that from the study that they might suggest something totally different, like maybe different kind of meters, or you don't know. See, we're spending $40-some thousand for a study, and then we're going to go and do this other thing before the study's done. You know, even though it's enforcement, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know what the rush is myself. I don't think, to me, unless somebody else can tell me, and I don't get it, I just think that we should just wait for the study to come in. I hear what you're saying, Jimmy, but I don't. I just think it's, I don't know. In my life experience, I would say that you don't do that until you get this. Particularly if you're spending $40-some thousand for this, they might come back and say, "Hey, we're going to do something different for meters. Their meters are out. Don't use them anymore." Who knows what they're going to say? And how many more weeks until this study is done? A couple, 3, 4, I don't know. But I just, for my input, I think it's, I don't think it's the right thing to do until the study's in.
Yeah, so, Mr. Rivers, appreciate the feedback. This is the part that we're already doing. This is the parking enforcement part of it. And we could certainly wait and do nothing with it. If that system goes down, we could potentially lose, back in January, we lost over a week's worth of parking enforcement revenue because the system was down. It's, you know, we're gonna be writing parking tickets. So that's what this is. It's not gonna affect any part of that parking study. You know, if eventually whatever they decide to do, whether it goes, you know, towards parking authority, towards the city, you know, we'll worry about that then. But right now, and this is not upfront money, it's a per ticket thing, so, you know, we're not, you know, it's pay as you go. But we can go with what we have right now, and we are losing money every time that system goes down, or one of their devices goes down.
Anyone else on pending legislation?
Just on that note, Gordon, I just wanted to address your concerns. The biggest thing for me with this is not only the enforcement issue that we're having with writing parking tickets, but also the fact that this will be brought in-house and you will no longer have to go in front of a magistrate over a parking ticket. From what I was told earlier by Controller Jared Snyder, it'll more or less be reflected on your credit report as opposed to having to go in front of the magistrate, which I personally think is more fair. I don't think that you should have to go in front of a magistrate for a parking ticket. That's just my opinion on it. So that's why I'm, in favor of it.
And that's an excellent point, that's that whole decriminalization. So hopefully at the next meeting or the meeting after that, I'm gonna work with Tim and Maureen. Kelly Ryan actually helps to provide the language because you do have to amend, write an ordinance to decriminalize the parking ticket. So we're gonna work through that. We think by the time that the Kelly Ryan system is actually operational, we should have that. But we'll be coming to you, to formalize that, but exactly right, it becomes more of a credit thing than it does a criminal.
Yeah, which I think is
Yeah.
fair.
Agreed.
If you think of it, we're kind of like changing from Android to iPhones. So we're changing the handheld devices that the park enforcement officers use. And those handheld devices run on a different operating system. So that's what the vote is on, is to change the handheld devices and the operating system used to collect parking tickets. And then down the road is then when the next phase would go into decriminalizing. So right now, we're just changing handheld devices in a different company for them, in the way that they work.
Yes, John.
John Sosky on the lane. Just an issue, I don't have an issue with it, but with the health board, appointing the health board members, the last meeting, just nobody said their names. Just, could I just have who they are, and, just give me some kind of credentials from them? I mean, I think the guy said that everybody is being reappointed, so, just how many years they've been on the board, or, that's all I need, something basic about that. Could I just have like a quick overview for the what phase 1 is with the Solomon Creek project? Just a quick overview about that. With this the parking ticket thing. Basically, with this new system, would we be able to make more money, and are people going to be able to make it easier for the city to enforce tickets that were not paid before, like the tickets that aren't being paid? Because if those things are going to happen, I'm fine with it.
So I don't have the details with me on phase 1, but it's the beginning process of doing the wall repairs. And that's obviously what phase 1 is. It's the biggest part of it.
Is it the whole? Like, is it right?
No, we're I believe it's looking at the section from Waller Street to Barney, from Barney to Regent. And that's what they're focusing on right now. So, I'm sorry, the other points, John.
Well, I know one of them was appointments to the Board of Health.
Correct.
Now, I know Hank Radulski was here Tuesday and could have given a lot more deal than I can.
But their names, obviously, are Margaret Lavecchio from Hanover Street, Wilkes-Barre, and Thomas Hartman from Hanover Street, Wilkes-Barre. They are reappointments, so they've been on the board. And although I don't know the requirements off the top of my head, I believe in the adopting legislation that creates the Board of Health. They do have a list of requirements for people who can be their members. They have to have like medical backgrounds or be nurses or medical doctors. And I know these two individuals do have the credentials that would meet the requirements that are contained in the legislation that created the board.
Okay.
I did so.
Yep. Good, yeah. Oh, yeah, parking. Thank you.
The point, I'm sorry,
Uh,
my age.
okay, I gotta see if I can word this correctly again. With the new system, are we gonna make more money off of it?
Well, the idea is we should, you know, primarily for a couple of reasons. One is obviously we're gonna handle the enforcement of the delinquent parking tickets, you know, in-house. And then secondly, the system, as it's being presented to us, is a whole heck of a lot more reliable. As Darren said, it goes from, you know, basically from an Android to an iPhone, and not that iPhone anymore, but I have an iPhone. But it's a more reliable system. The backup behind it is significantly better than what we were getting with Pango. For example, they're allowing us to have an extra device in-house, so when somebody's device goes down, they can use the spare. We don't have that now. When someone's device goes down, they do all kinds of stuff to try to make it work, and then they try to replace it, and it's a week later. So that loss of downtime should allow us to continue to keep doing the enforcement more regularly.
Okay, and will it make it easier for the city to get parking tickets paid that were slipping through the cracks kind of?
So one of the things that comes with this Kelly Ryan system is the fact that you'll be able to go on, I think you'll be able to go online, but you will be able to pay by credit card. And we're actually gonna have a kiosk outside of the tax office, or inside, we haven't decided where, and you'll be able to, just without having to wait in line, or you can go to the kiosk and pay your parking ticket.
But like, is the organization gonna be better? Is there gonna be less?
Well, I think that's better, I mean, we don't have that now, I mean, I would consider that being better, I mean, I guess we can have an opinion on that.
Thank you. Anyone else on pending legislation? Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda resolutions.
A motion and a second. Mr. Barrett? Barrett? Roll call, Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Merritt?
Yes.
Mr. Bosso?
Yes.
And Mr. West?
Yes. Presentation by council members. Councilman Barrett. You have anything?
Nothing since Tuesday.
Councilwoman Gilbert.
Ted, the house that caught fire on the 300 block of East South Street over the summer, I know that's on the list to be torn down. We're just waiting for the insurance check on that from the owner. In the meantime, I was driving past it today, and there's a lot of loose siding on it, on the front, and there's also a couple large, I'd say probably about 15 pieces of wood that are on the top portion of the bottom portion of the roof, right above the front porch, that I think can come down. It just doesn't look very secure, so we can just have that secure.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Councilman Barrett.
Yeah, I just want to thank for Ted. Ted, part of James Lane was released in, which is paid. Do you plan on paving the area between Laurel and Pine on Jenks Lane? Okay, and if we can't, can we at least get it patched? The equipment's there, maybe we just want to.
Yep.
Thank you. That's it, the city of Zero.
Councilman Beluska.
Ted, just a real quick question. I was going to ask you this yesterday. Where do we stand on the blueback bids? Did we get any yet?
We got one.
Got one from the same company we're using?
Yep.
Thanks. That's all.
Thank you. Public discussion, Tony Mathis.
Tony Mathis, Carter's Lane, Wilkes-Barre. I just wanted to let you know the panhandlers are back. and, with the bicycle riders on the sidewalk. They ride up behind you or near you and they will knock you out. So what are we gonna do about that? And there's a no trespassing sign that's been laying on the ground outside the police department forever. So they plan on moving that. That's it.
Bicycles, what do we do about bicycles?
We're talking downtown.
Downtown on the square, yeah.
Oh, Kirk.
Well, they're down there when he's not there. He's not there all the time. They know when he's there and when he's not there, so that's when they go rampant.
We'll work with the police.
And we'll pick up the trespassing sign.
Oh, okay.
Regarding the pan handlers,
Yeah.
that's my last year, I think it was, that we were working on an ordinance to address the panhandling issue. There were a couple of different issues with it. One was enforcement, and two was, I know the current chief of police, she wasn't exactly in favor of it. But that's always something that we can revisit.
Yeah, and the problem is there's many communities throughout the country that are having serious problems constitutionally with their panhandle ordinances because of free speech issues. So you have to be very careful when you're crafting one of those.
Yeah.
So I think what our department has been relying on is more panhandling that rises to the level of harassment. That they can, take care of. But they have to be, as a body, this council has to be very careful when they're considering panhandling legislation because of the free speech issues and the problems other municipalities have been running into with their panhandling ordinances.
The ACLU is challenged a lot of the.
Yeah. But see, the problem is it's the same people every day. And they go down the line to people as they walk down the street.
And I'm sure we've all had it happen to us, too.
Yeah, I work downtown, so I know exactly what you mean. It really is the same ones, and it not only makes you feel uncomfortable, but it gets frustrating dealing with it on a daily basis.
Yes.
But I know exactly what you mean. I don't know if there's anything the council can necessarily do on it, just because of what Attorney Henry said, but hopefully, maybe more enforcement down there regarding it would be helpful, but I 100% agree with you. It's very difficult to deal with.
Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, on that, I know we did a lot of research on that over the years. Some cities have adopted ordinances that deal with aggressive panhandling. Somebody steps in your way, impedes you in any way, shape, or form, or becomes loud, then they follow to that. And the courts have said that that's okay to do that.
Right.
We could have an ordinance, something similar to that, so maybe we should be revisiting that. It's basically, if you look at aggressive panhandling, you find out that there are ordinances that are in place that deal with that. Again, going back to freedom of speech, it's nothing illegal about asking somebody for $1. But when you step in front of somebody or intimidate them in any way, shape, or form, then of course that's a whole different story. And you can look at that a little bit too, and I'll see what I can go back and see, I think I had a file. Thank you.
Angel Mathis?
Angel Mathis, Wilkes-Barre. I have a few things because it's like whatever was done on Union and North Main, someone's gonna die. But let me get to my second issue first because that's an easy one. Well, on last Saturday, was it last Saturday? No, April 28th, whatever Saturday that was, me and Monique, we were coming from West House. A set of your employees, city employees driving a garbage truck ran through the North Main Street red light in the square, parked at NFCB 15-minute parking to go into Mimo's to pick up a slice of pizza. The license plate is MG4598G and it was at 156. Now, my second issue is this, and I know I've been complaining about it consistently, and the first time in a long time that I put it up, which sat here and told me that, oh, the lines weren't clearly defined about the parking meters in the traffic lanes. Long story short, for 2 weeks, North Main was kind of tore up, where apparently there was someone contracted out to put parking lines and parking spaces with the parking meters, changed the traffic patterns, and I'm a little confused. And, oh yeah, and then grinded up the lines that were not clearly defined. But they were clearly defined to the point where they had to grind them, literally grind them out of the street. So this is where I'm confused, because I know a few years ago, I brought up the issue of parking on South Washington Street. And Ted's predecessor was telling me because the parking was in a traffic lane, that they had to put in a change of traffic pattern through PennDOT. And ultimately, it was reported back to me that PennDOT didn't approve it, therefore they put back up the no parking signs. They didn't attempt to put up meters at that point. And what I'm confused as to is who determines where meters go? Who determines how traffic patterns are changed? Because the way they change that traffic pattern, someone's gonna die. Because it went from a turning lane on one side and a straight lane on the other to a straight and turning lane on one side. And right now, it's undetermined what the other lane is. And for people who use that route daily, they're literally almost colliding with the cars that's going straight through the lane that was always turning for so many years. And not once did I see it publicized that they were doing this. And it's the same on Union, where I complained about the meters being in the traffic lane, but it's just ironic that they do it on East Union, but they don't do it on West Union. So my question is, one, how much are the taxpayers actually paying for this project? Two, wouldn't it have been easier just to remove a few meters than to cause the chaos? And three, at what point do you get PennDOT involved in change of traffic patterns?
Can you answer any of those?
Yes, I mean, some of it I can't, Angel. The other stuff we'll have to refer to Butch.
Yeah, he's gonna give me a rundown. I don't know what you guys see it off.
I'm sorry.
Nothing. Nothing. It's just that me and Butch, we don't have a clear eye-to-eye understanding. He tell me something and I look and it's like, okay, it's not raining, so what is the truth?
Okay, I'm not following, but the traffic committee will get involved as far as, you know, with the lane changes in a state road, and obviously PennDOT has to be involved with that. I mean, I'll find out with this thing on the traffic patterns North Main Street. I'm a little fuzzy on.
Oh, they just did it within the last 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, so again. I can
On
look
both Union and North Main.
So North Main, the state road, so could it just be them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with what they're doing out there, so, I mean, we'd have to look into it, and and you know all the facts, I just need to find out exactly what they're doing.
And there's a meter question.
Yeah, and then this thing with the DPW, I will look into that. What day was it?
It was April 28th.
And that's an outstanding amount of information. You got license plate number, you got everything, you got time of day. You're hired. No, and we will get on that. I'm not trying to make light of that. We will get on that, and that's obviously indisputable.
His issue is safety.
Sure. So I appreciate you bringing that, Angel, but I'll find out. I'm not really familiar with I've not seen it.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments? John Skoski?
John Toski, Palmer Lane. Like, I like the Take It to the Streets program you guys have, but, like, I have quite, like, I think you guys need to implement that a little bit more. Like, I took a little walk today, and I've seen, no, it was in between a little bit of your district, a little bit of Mr. Brooks and Mr. Bushka's district, where I seen, like, you know, it was hidden areas, but there's trash, like, you know, it wasn't little violations, they were, you know, big ones. Like, I just think that we need to walk a little bit more. Like, if you guys want, I'll take you guys to show you places where, you know, there's little places where it needs to be looked at. You know, like a lot of trash, just in alleys and things. I just think, like, I like the Take It to the Streets program. I think that should be a once a week maybe thing where, you know, you send some kind of people out there. I don't know if you guys what you guys can do. You know, I don't think you guys can put them on bikes, but I really think you need feet on the ground or something, people really close, because you might not look down an alley, and then you might see a bunch of things that, you know, need to be taken care of. You might see mattresses and all kinds of scattered trash. I want to ask about the police chief hire, the policy, the third-class city policy, where the internal is preferred over external. I just like an explanation of what would make an internal hire preferable to a external hire, like within the code. Like what would put somebody that's internal over the top over somebody that is external. And basketball hoops, Mayflower. I think you got one hoop, maybe one side up over at Minor Park, but the other side's, the other side is a hole in it, the one backwards, I understand. But I think you got one so far. That's all I have, thank you.
Thanks, John. So the design of taking it to the streets was to get them out there to cover every street, every alley over a period of time. I wish we had put them out there every week. We don't have the personnel. There's just no way to be able to do that. I mean, it takes us 13 weeks or roughly 3 months to cover the entire city with the teams that we have now going 1 day a week. So, you know, I wish we could send them out every day and walk, but we just don't have the time. They haven't covered every area, so the area you're talking about, I'm not sure they've been to yet. And I know next week, I believe they're going up to a part of, I think it's North End. But, you know, we will get everywhere, but you see something reported, we'll definitely send something.
I have a house too. When the meeting's over, I'll show you, because I have a picture, like a wide open house.
Yeah, that's fine. I just need the address and I take you at your word, I just need the address and we'll forward it on, John, it's easier. Or if you could send me the picture too.
Yeah, as soon as I'm done, I'll send it to you.
But once a week, you know, I just don't, we do that now, but once it's over, then we'll reschedule it again down the road, but it's just a lot of manpower. Chief, the third-class city.
Yeah, I mean, as of now, we're still researching whether that provision you mentioned, how applicable that is to a home municipality like us. And right now, that's still attorney-client work product, and it's not something that we'll be sharing publicly at this point.
How would I do?
Good. Can I add one other thing? Sure. Could we have some kind of like scoring process or some kind of transparency with the process of how you pick the next chief? I just think that, you know, it's owed to the people of the city that, you know, we know what gave you what information you used to pick the next chief, and what drove you guys to pick that person.
I assume it's the 30 recommendations on the report.
Right, and you see the qualifications that are listed there, and we're holding the applicants to those qualifications. Some of the applicants that have applied aren't going to meet the qualifications, and that will disqualify them. As far as the actual interviews, obviously that's going to be tricky. You won't get the information from the interviews, obviously. But, you know, it's a great group, but we have 2 left on an initial round of interviews, and we'll be making some decisions, you know, going forward next week about a list of finalists. Mr. Barrett has been involved every step of the way with us, and he'll tell you that we've had some, I don't want to speak for you, Bill, but, you know, there's been some good candidates, and it's interesting, if I may, Tony, just to mention, it's interesting that of the interest, especially from some of the outside candidates, have done their research on the city and the problems. And that's been, you know, for me, very good to see, because, you know, it's not just applying for a job, it's looking at, you know, why is this position open, what happened, you know, they've been able to access the information. So we're, you know, again, we've been as transparent as we can be, and hopefully we get it resolved soon.
Thank you.
John,
comments from council?
we're going to Mayflower Park. You said some of the basketball hoops are.
Yeah, it's hoops, they've been busted.
Did
Just
we order
2.
hoops, Ted? I know that we had to order.
Yeah, I believe they did.
They were-
I'm not.
They were there today. You had guys there today.
They were there today? Okay. And I know there was an issue with the concrete there, is that?
Oh, you need a holding court there, you ain't fixing that.
Tony,
Yes.
John, 2 things. Of course, I want to see all those complaints you saw. I will give you my card after after we leave here, call me, or I'll leave, or you can tell me where they're at, and I'll go see it myself. Secondly, I know we ordered, Butch had ordered, hoops and a backboard. I don't know if they're in, do you know?
Yeah, that thing.
I'm pretty sure you got one set in. I mean, the other one's the one that's
Four
busted.
on one side? Okay, okay, so they did get one.
I believe so.
I know the backboard's broken on the other with the rim being missing, but I know we ordered them, so maybe they'll come.
Okay.
Any comments? Okay, adjourn, see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, you got somewhere to go? 6:33, you got somewhere to go?
It's already there.